In one of the biggest footballing countries in the world, questions are being raised after yet another failure to qualify for a major tournament. After finishing third place in their qualifying group, being eliminated on goal difference, people are wondering what went so wrong for the Oranje. As lovers of football, the style created by Rinus Michels and perfected by the likes of Cruyff and Neeskens was one that clubs follow to a T today. But it's sad to see the architects of this type of football not putting it to good use, whereas you see Spain and Barcelona over the past 10 years winning everything there is to offer. Now this was best shown in the 2010 World Cup final, where Spain played the typical Dutch way with total football, and the Dutch with De Jong and Heitinga played like savages, claiming they'd rather win than play beautifully, but in the end achieving neither.
I think it was mainly down to the team that they had and the coach that they had, Bert van Marwijk. They didn't really adhere to the classical Dutch style, and they were heavily criticised in the Netherlands for doing that, for playing the way they were. They were so physical and negative themselves, and it really was just an ugly spell. They had such a strange negative setup where they couldn't control the midfield whatsoever. They just left big spaces. The style was massively different, and I don't think they've really brought themselves back to that. I think it has been quite a key point in the history, or the turn that the Netherlands has taken.
The 2010 World Cup final influenced nothing in any other way other than to really be a really poor advert for what the Netherlands and Dutch football is all about, because what it degenerated into was just anarchy.
And it was at Euro 2012 where the cracks really started to show. The Netherlands failed to make it out of the group after losing all of their games, with legend Johan Cruyff describing the stars in the team as sloppy. And whilst failing to qualify for Euro 2016 was bad enough for the Netherlands, with less established international sides like Iceland and Albania qualifying, the failure to qualify for Russia 2018 is surely the worst in recent memory.
When this qualification group was drawn, it was pretty simple, wasn't it? Everyone thought it was France and the Netherlands tying for that automatic spot in first place, and probably whoever wins in the match between the two of them would take that spot. Whoever loses was guaranteed second. I mean, Sweden was so disappointing at the last Euros, and they haven't really been performing. Everyone thought they've got rid of Zlatan now. What do they have left? I can't remember quite who else was in that group. Bulgaria, Belarus, Luxembourg. No one really saw these guys as a challenge. But as we always see with qualifiers, they spring up some surprises. I mean, first off, before we even get to the Netherlands, that group, I mean, you've got Luxembourg, amateur Luxembourg, tying with France in France. That's one of the most. That's more absurd than almost every other result, including the Netherlands. You've got Bulgaria beating Sweden, who came second. Bulgaria beating the Netherlands. For the Netherlands to lose to Bulgaria, it's where do you even begin? Like, you're at a loss for words with it, really.
The very, very strange thing about the last campaign was that, those performances and those results were well below what you would expect of players of that calibre. I mean, they had Manchester United players, they had Liverpool players, a lot of Premier League, a lot of top Eredivisie players and others spread across Europe. They're not world class the way the Dutch used to be, but the performances were well below what any kind of calibre of player for the Netherlands should be, and what they had, which was just so disastrous to watch throughout the qualifiers.
However, this time round for the Netherlands, it wasn't the sloppiness of the stars within the team, it was the lack of stars in the team. Apart from Arjen Robben, the Dutch team that played against Sweden in that last qualifier had a real lack of world-class ability. Instead, they had Barcelona's second-choice goalkeeper, their whole back four plays for mid-table teams in either France or England, and two of their front three play in the Turkish league. But you look back just 6 years ago and we had world-class talents like Robin van Persie, Dirk Kuyt, Wesley Sneijder in the team, none of whom have really been replaced.
You talked about the likes of Van Persie and Dirk Kuyt and these great luminaries of the last generation. But many people are wondering where the new generation is coming from. And the problem is that new generation is either getting too much too soon and are embarking for careers abroad before they've really had a chance to really find their feet, or they're being taken entirely before they even have a chance to even show their face in the first team. The thing with the Eredivisie is, and the real sort of X factor for Dutch football has always been the Eredivisie, in the fact that they are willing to a club to season their young players at a very early age. They don't mind how young they are. If they've got the talent, they will play, and they'll get the opportunity. And you know, if you look at Feyenoord's title-winning side of last year, and you look at some of the players in there, the likes of Tony Vilhena, for instance, has been playing at first-team level for a number of years, and for one reason or another, he's not moved abroad yet. And he's seen the benefit of that, and he's really evolved as a player.
Now, this could be down to a variety of factors. However, Chelsea and Man City's recent abuse of the loan system in their Eredivisie is one that has to be looked at, and also the increased dependence on foreign talent means that Dutch players simply aren't getting the opportunities that they used to get in decades gone by. With players like Justin Kluivert, Appie Nouri, Richard Bazor, Matthias de Ligt, only a handful of players who have actually been given an opportunity in the last couple of years.
Well, this has been an issue for quite a few years since Chelsea first became involved with Vitesse. And what it is that just like they do with clubs all over Europe, I think now, is that they have partnerships where they send these players on loan, they share information, they share coaching resources as well, as far as I believe, and it gives them a chance to bring through players, and it gives teams like NAC Breda and Vitesse access to players that they normally wouldn't have.
But looking at the Ajax team that lost the Europa League final with players like Onana, Sanchez, Younes, Vesterman, Neres, Dolberg all in the squad, who were all potentially blocking the places of young Dutch talent. And comparing that to the side that won the Champions League in 1995 with top Dutch talents like Van der Sar, Frank and Ronald de Boer, Clarence Seedorf, Edgar Davids, Patrick Kluivert, all of these guys had a big impact for the Netherlands, and that was shown at the 98 World Cup when they got to the quarter-finals. So those players all moved on to bigger and better things, joining the likes of Juventus and Barcelona. However, the Eridivisie's top prospects these days, like Davy Proper and Davy Klaassen, joined Brighton and Everton respectively, showing that these players aren't quite reaching the heights of generations gone by.
All of Europe has basically surpassed the Eredivisie at the moment. All the top leagues are well better than the Eredivisie was, and that wasn't the case 20 odd years ago. The Eredivisie was actually at a decent level in the 90s and the late 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, the big drop in quality of the level of the Eredivisie has been a big problem. David Klaassen, who's waited until he was 24, 25 I think he is, to go to the Premier League, is almost fully developed then, is struggling at Everton, and of course there are loads of issues for each of those. There's loads of different factors in that, but to see them kind of turn up and be so out of their depth is a big indictment on the league itself.
Now sadly, as in the case in football, it's the fans that will suffer the most. Now the Netherlands are known for bringing thousands of fans to major tournaments, and their presence will be really missed in Russia.
One of the best things about Dutch football is their fans, both club and then especially international. Brazil, they brought thousands. Probably out of all the teams besides England, the Dutch brought, as Europeans, the most fans that were there were Dutch. They brought so many, such great vibes, such great atmosphere. I remember the bands and the stuff. They're fantastic. And then don't get me started what goes on back home when they've got a tournament. When they made the final, I think it was 1 million, 2 million in Amsterdam. They had to shut the whole city down. But what's kind of fascinating about that is they still did that this year for the Women's World Cup. And that's the kind of juxtaposition with all of this. Right now, the Dutch men's national team is probably in its worst position. It's nadir for footballers in modern times. This is now the second tournament in a row they're not going to make. Ajax couldn't even make it to the Champions League. Things aren't looking good for men's football in the Netherlands. However, flip over to the women's team, you look at the most recent Euros this summer, it was incredible. Every Dutch game sold out. They were the toast of the country. They win the tournament, playing beautiful football. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands, turned out in Amsterdam to welcome them back. The girls were stars on the front pages. The coach, everyone was talking about them. So, I don't know, maybe things are changing in the Netherlands and people focus on the women's game. Look, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't think anyone really does, because no matter how much you know about football, you still can't explain how a team, with some of those stars in it, can at least come second.
As Eli explained, Dutch fans are channeling their support for a team they can be proud of, their women's team, who play great football and actually won the Euro 2017 on home soil. But for the men, it couldn't be a more different story, and it's strange to think that out of all the teams that could play a classic Dutch football, it's the Dutch. But going on recent performances, it's not easy to see how things are going to get any better for them.
What I think will happen is difficult to say, because this is a very, very critical point in the direction of Dutch football. They have a national team that's stumbling and massively underperforming. Clubs that are struggling, players that are struggling across Europe. Once Arjen Robben goes, there's no indication of where a Dutch star is anywhere. When you look at how the KNVB had such a key role in the failure to qualify for the last two tournaments, with following Louis van Gaal up with appointing Guus Hiddink, and then naming his successor as Danny Blind immediately for 2 years after to take them into the World Cup 2018, was just a decision that made no sense from the very beginning. And then to replace them with Dick Advocaat was bizarre as well, because it was just the same type of thing. And now at the moment they just don't know where the next coach is going to come from.
I would like to see someone like an Erik ten Hag get the job, in the sense that I think he, if you look over a prolonged period of time, if he was given the support, and that's the real key, if he's given the support of the KNVB, who presents a unified front instead of being divided on the whole issue, if all of Dutch football is behind his thought process and are not too quick to judge or criticise, then things can really start to change.
The thing is, they seem lost. They've tried it all. They've tried going back to the old legends, it didn't work. They tried the new guy, Blind, he didn't work. I think they're on to someone else now as well. People are saying Koeman just got fired. I don't know. I don't actually know. Maybe this is the time where we're going into a really, really dark period of Dutch football, which just might be not only the Dutch is lost, but everyone's lost. But as we always know in football, only time will tell. But for me, like I said, it's the Netherlands' loss, sure, but maybe it's someone else's gain.
So what's going to happen for the future of the Netherlands national team? No one really knows. Will they embrace a German model and completely overhaul the system, or the English embrace, this time, of mediocrity? It'll be very interesting to see. However, it is a very uncertain future. But nevertheless, that is the end of today's video. Click up there if you want to see more ACJ originals. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, share it around, do what you've got to do, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.